I move now to Nicaragua, where the human rights situation continues to plummet at an alarming pace. For almost 6 years now, a systematic campaign of repression has targeted anti-government protesters, human rights defenders, journalists and politicians. Violations have been particularly severe against women, LGBTQ+ activists and women political leaders. Most recently, the Catholic Church and other religious groups have come under attack in a disturbing symbol of the ruling party's efforts to consolidate its control across all spheres of society and to crack down on any independent voice. This Sunday, 3rd March, regional elections marred by a series of setbacks on civil and political freedoms are scheduled to take place in the North and South Caribbean coast autonomous regions. Yatama, the main indigenous and Afro-descendant party, has been barred from taking part. Its 2 deputies at the National Assembly have been arbitrarily detained since September and October respectively, with one of them subjected to an enforced disappearance and the other held incommunicado. I may remain extremely concerned for their lives and safety, and I reiterate my call for their immediate release. Elsewhere in the country, the authorities continue arbitrarily to detain people for political reasons. According to the latest civil society data, 19 women and 92 men are currently imprisoned in connection with the human rights crisis that started in 2018. My office has documented physical torture against some of these individuals, as well as multiple violations of their right to due process. And the closure of the International Committee of the Red Cross in Nicaragua, announced in December now, leaves detainees without access to any international or independent monitoring. The Nicaraguan authorities now exercise almost total control over the judicial system, which has long lost any semblance of independence. Testimonies received by my office highlight a climate of intense fear, intimidation and harassment. Last November, hundreds of officials were arbitrarily dismissed, reportedly due to their conflicting loyalties. Many Nicaraguans have fled the country in fear. Many, too, have been arbitrarily deprived of their nationality, often rendering them stateless. Many who travel out of Nicaragua are then denied entry into their own country. The authorities in Nicaragua continue to refuse cooperation with my office or any of the international human rights mechanisms. International pressure in some cases has resulted in action by the authorities. The latest example was the release of 19 priests and seminarians from arbitrary detention. It is extremely regrettable, however, that after their release they had to leave the country. Examples of positive steps taken by the authorities are few and far between. I urge the authorities to take steps to resume cooperation with my office and with human rights mechanisms, such as the Group of Human Rights Experts on Nicaragua, and urgently to address the raft of serious human rights violations outlined in my office's reports. All those arbitrarily detained need to be immediately released. An open and pluralistic civic space must be guaranteed. I also call on the authorities to allow the safe and dignified return of Nicaraguans who wish to come back to the country and the safe departure of all those who want to leave, especially children and spouses seeking family reunification. Member states of this Council can and must do more to support Nicaragua to change course and avert an even deeper human rights crisis. I appeal to you to undertake the following actions: to provide full backing and protection to Nicaraguan human rights defenders, to strengthen accountability for alleged international crimes and other violations of international law committed since 2018, as well as to promote the appropriate application of universal and extraterritorial jurisdiction, to ensure international refugee protection to Nicaraguans fleeing persecution, and strictly to uphold the principle of non-refoulement. Additionally, I urge strict scrutiny of all international assistance and investments provided to the state of Nicaragua, including through international financial institutions and businesses. This must be subject to human rights safeguards. I remain hopeful that with the decisive support of the Council and the international community, Nicaragua can find a way out of the current human rights crisis.